It's the DORK podcast. It's the DORK podcast. Rich Keefe. It's the DORK podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Razzle Von Dazzle. He is promo code Ron Von D. He is, at times, rookie mode, but he's also a hell of a guy. His name is Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
That was you ended that, you put a bow on that so nicely, that he's a hell of a guy. So
nice guy.
Before we get to the video game news, I'll have you know that you know how a bunch of the Dork Shared Universe guys are in a Madden league together?
Yes, they are.
And Dr. Joe Gilmore, backcracker Dr. Joe, modeled his fullback after me.
Nice.
Neck roll, lineman mask, et al. And
like
that said fullback is the leading rusher on his team. And I said,
I like that very much.
That's rookie mode right there, baby.
Yep. That's what I would do all the time.
Fullback?
NCAA football, I would create like a handful of us. I would lead the country in receiving. You'd lead the country in rushing. It was a nice time.
Nice little thing.
I
had, when we did our Madden league back in the day, 20 years ago, I think I was leading the league in rushing. I think I had over 1,000 yards rushing in 6 games.
Yeah. Well, again, you don't get that nickname. Yeah.
That's what did it. That's what was like, how the hell do you have like 20 rushing touchdowns and over 1,000 yards in 6 games?
You're like, I don't play Madden that much. I don't play Madden that much. Ryan, here's the thing. You're fresh off an appearance on Dale and Keefe. Dale was out last Friday. Fitzy and me were doing the show, and we thought we'd have you on for a segment. Turned out to be an hour, for heaven's sakes, and I thought it was a great time.
I felt more comfortable and more myself than I have in years.
Good.
It was just it was like a glass. That's my glass slipper right there. I felt great. Felt great.
That was very nice. We started out talking movies and TV, and then you stuck around. Shine was giving out winners. You even gave out a winner. You gave out a pick yourself.
I did. My mortal lock was the Bills.
The Bills.
So was it like
absolutely?
Oh my God,
the Broncos.
And I told you they didn't have a secondary. There's
they did not.
They did not.
They didn't have much.
They could have pulled Aqib Talib out of the booth.
That would have been
on
better.
The field. He would have been better.
That would have been better. But that was a nice little spot. Hopefully, we can do that again sometime.
I will drop literally everything I'm doing to do that again. No matter what it is, I will take one of my kids and throw her in the snow and be like, "All right, I gotta go.
We gotta go. Sorry, we got a thing." So that was good. Also, our last episode of the Dork podcast, we did a shared universe top 25 Christmas movies.
Yes.
So you can go check that out if you've missed it. We just rip them off, 25 down to 1, counting them down, and it's a shared list. So let the people know that is not what my list looks like or your list looks like. That is a collective. There's like 10 of us voting on that thing, and that's what we got.
What we got. I mean, it is what it is. There are some things on there that, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but
I think we have one coming up. Yeah,
we have one coming up.
We might get to. But that's that. So. Oh, by the way, if you missed Davey's appearance on Dale and Keefe, you can go to the Dale and Keefe podcast, either on WEEI.com, iTunes, wherever else it is. And it's the final hour of the show last Friday. So if you want to check that out, we do a lot of dork stuff. So you might as well check that out. All right, Ryan, let's get to the news.
This week in DORK. Yeah.
All right, so this might be a little old hat or viejo sombrero, if you habla. And the Marvel and Star Wars announcements that came out during the Disney Plus thing, we did like a quick little Periscope video of it, but we didn't talk about it on the podcast yet. And I would just say with everything that came out Marvel-wise, and then everything that came out Star Wars-wise, what is your most anticipated Marvel property that was announced?
Well, it's got to be Captain Marvel 2, right?
Captain Marvel 2.
You kind of walked me.
I kind of feel like that had to be your answer.
You kind of walked me into that. I had to say that, but I would say this new Spider-Man has me very intrigued. And now they're talking about Tom Holland being kind of like the center of the Marvel universe. But I will say that Fantastic Four has piqued my interest.
That's it for me. And I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four fan. I just thought they got kind of a raw deal. And they are one of the OG Marvel properties. And for all of these other characters to take off and be super popular, I kind of feel bad for Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four, they had the 2 movies early with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, and then they put that to the side. Then they came back, and the Michael B. Jordan, not his fault, he's the best ever, but that Fantastic Four might be the worst comic book movie of all time. It was so bad that Marvel stopped making the comic book after that movie.
Yeah, and
That's insane.
it didn't make really a lick of sense.
No,
I mean, and I think you got the actual Doctor Doom was on screen for like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
So bad. And like that's one of the great Marvel villains of all time. You have him, you have the property to him, you introduce him, and then you just don't go there. It was so bad. But I'm looking forward to this. I want to see what they do with this. I am looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier, the TV show.
If it's got kind of like that Jack Ryan kind of like secret agent kind of vibe to it, almost like a Jason Bourne type of feel, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good. And they're coming out now. They're saying She-Hulk is going to be a legal comedy.
Who doesn't like a legal comedy? I
mean,
Night Court. I love Night Court.
Night Court's coming back too.
Is it really?
Yeah, and John Larroquette is actually coming back to Night Court. I don't know what Judge Reinhold's do.
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson, the magician.
Ryan, I've been wrong before, but I don't think he's with us. I think that's
Harry Anderson.
I think that's a pick of the pod. Now, I was way off last week on somebody too, so I'm gonna have to look.
No, you're right. Harry Anderson's dead.
Okay, thank you. Well, not thank you. I don't want credit for that, but
no, you said who
he passed. That guy was great. He was hilarious on that show.
Yeah,
dude,
and he was
Night Court. Remember Bull?
Is Bull still alive?
I don't think so.
Let's see.
The other woman that was the bailiff, the really old lady, I think she passed during the show, and then didn't they replace her with rocks? Remember they added another woman.
Yeah, Richard Mull, who played Bull, is still alive.
Good for him.
Yeah,
out there getting it done. That was a great program. Do you know that ran for 193 episodes?
I believe it because I remember it being like, is this show still? I think it ran.
Wow.
Until like the mid 90s, didn't it?
It says 84 to 92.
Because I remember being like, wow, this show's still on. And I was 10.
Yeah.
This show's still on? Shit. I would watch it regularly with the Golden Girls. I got my Golden Girls t-shirt on tonight.
I love your Golden Girls
this is a Christmas
there.
present from my mother.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Does it say you're a Dorothy in the streets and a Blanche in the sheets?
No, but I definitely am. But she's got you got Sophia wearing her I Heart Miami shirt with a little alligator.
Oh yeah.
That's
one of the great shows ever. And a great shared universe too with Empty Nest.
Sure is. The dog would run through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the same producer. He's a big bastard. It was great. Most anticipated Star Wars thing that was announced.
I mean, can we talk about it now? Are we far enough removed from what the topic du jour?
Yes. Don't spoil anything from The Mandalorian yet. I mean, again, anybody who wants to has probably already seen it, but just on the off chance, we like to keep it spoiler free.
Okay, if you stick around for the last
that thing. You're most that thing.
Yeah,
got it.
That thing.
The thing at the end, which we'll get to. Okay, very good. Hey, Brian, did you hear this news? This is pretty exciting, and I bet it's right up your alley. The Snyder Cut of Justice League, which I know you've been just beating down doors.
Oh, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. Yeah.
It's likely going to be rated R because, if you're ready for this, Batman says the F word.
I mean, didn't in the Whedon cut, he kind of almost says it.
Yeah, somebody did. I thought.
Remember, he's like driving in the Batmobile, and like the things are coming at him. He goes off, and then like it kind of cuts.
Oh, maybe it doesn't cut.
But that's what in my head, like that's what it is.
Yeah,
and so like
Batman swears. That's not going to get me in the door, man.
Here's something that my father told me when I was a young man, learning jokes for the first time, and he said
repetition, and then he said repetition,
and no, he said. If you have to swear in the joke and it's not funny without the swear, it's not funny.
Oh, I got you.
If like the whole thing you're going for is like shock value, like if you have to swear to make it funny, it's not funny. So like, to me, this is pointless. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
I want it, and I will reiterate. I want this to be good.
Oh, I hope it's good. I just have a hard time imagining that it's good.
Stop.
We'll give it a go. We're gonna give it a go.
It's going to be like 5 hours long.
Yeah, well, it's split up over 4 parts, though.
I know, but like, God damn it.
Ryan, I got 2 things better for you, though.
Sure.
You don't want to watch the Snyder Cut, but you're going to have to. But The television series Dinosaurs that used to be on TGIF is coming to Disney Plus in January.
So we talked about this. I did the news dump. I did the news dump with Goo and Shime because apparently this is the thing. Matt can just like be like, I don't want to do it.
He just takes
like he's.
I think he might be done with the podcast, to be honest. He didn't do the top 25.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't want to do it.
Christmas movies. I think he's out.
But we talked about this, and I, being the resident old of the Dork Shared Universe, I'm trying to tell people this show is not good. It is not as good as you think it is. And people are like, "Oh, dinosaurs with a little baby one." It's the most annoying thing.
You didn't like the show?
I hated it when it was out.
I loved it at the time. My dad loved the show. He's got a good taste in shows.
But it's like basically, Goo hit it right on the head. He's like, it's Dinosaur Simpsons.
Okay, I like The Simpsons. I like dinosaurs. It's
but
sweet
it was
dino action.
Yeah.
I think this is your problem. I think this is your biggest problem. You don't like dinos of any kind.
That might be it.
You might be like Carl Everett. You don't even believe in them.
I do believe in dinosaurs, but I don't.
You don't think that there's sweet action or sweet comedy.
I would say Jurassic Kingdom. Was it
Fallen Order or Fallen?
No. The one before that. The one Jurassic World. That was great.
Okay.
I thought that was great. Fallen Kingdom stunk. I'll go to my grave with that.
You should get it.
It's just over my head.
I think you had a hard time, grasping it. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, this show, you'll watch it for 20 minutes and be like, I'm good there.
Well, we'll see. Because you know what I'm going to be watching?
What are you going to be watching?
On Netflix right now. The Happy Time Murders.
Speaking of horrible puppet stuff,
the Happy Time Murders is.
Did you watch it again yet?
No, not yet. I
kind of want to watch it again. I want to watch it again.
I will. I've just been watching so many other things right now. I've cleared up some of my queue, if you will. So I'll probably get in there.
I think too, and I remember seeing this movie in the theater by myself with like 2 other people, pre-COVID, because there was just nobody there, and. I was in kind of a bad mood.
So that's not going to help.
That's not going to help me, but yeah.
You're going to love it, dude. The Continental Hot Sock is one of the funniest expressions of all time.
That is pretty funny.
Okay. My biggest problem with the Happy Time Murders, and I'm a big proponent of it, I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest problem is the puppet that acts alongside Melissa McCarthy is not a good, funny character.
No, and I think it's weird to have a puppet be like the straight man. That is not that funny.
Like, but yeah, like not only is he, but like sometimes you can still like the straight man. Like, you know what I mean? The straight man might not give you all the laughs, but you still like. I didn't find him even likable. Like, it was just kind of took it out for me.
Other than when he's shooting silly string all over the place, that's likable. I can relate to that.
Lovable.
I can relate to that.
One of the great gifts of our time. So I thank him for that, but that's the only funny thing he did in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get to the next portion of the program, shall we?
This is This Week in Horrible Rossi Takes.
Well, all you got to do, Ryan, is go to last week's episode, Top 25 Christmas Movies, as voted on by the hashtag Dork Shared Gooniverse. We all ranked Christmas movies 1 through 25. And Rossi's number 1 Christmas movie of all time is A Year Without a Santa Claus, the Heat Miser.
And the cold miser and the heat miser. Yeah. That one?
Of all time.
Of all time.
Better than Home Alone.
Christmas movie.
Better than Elf. Better than
Christmas Vacation.
Any thing.
Oh, just Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. That was a hard one to hear.
At what point? And the other thing too, I'm listening to I lost it. I think what I would refer to as willful ignorance or active trolling at this point. Did you see on Mac and Goo, they did the best soundtracks of the 90s?
I haven't listened to it yet. I saw that because I saw them on Twitter and I saw what they put as their poll question already. And I was like,
yes.
Wait, of the 90s? Like, I thought they meant like a specific, like, of September of 1994. It was a horrible list.
It was horrible.
Horrible.
And like, obviously, I get shit because I'm like, are you kidding? And like, I list like 3 of them, and they're like, oh, like here comes like Blink 182. Like,
yeah,
like I don't.
You're distracting.
I don't know at this point what's trolling and what isn't, or if it's like willful ignorance. Like we're doing this on purpose so people will interact with the tweet. Maybe. But I think. Oh,
what was their list?
It was like The Lion King.
Oh yeah, it was like 2 Disney movies, right?
It was 2 Disney movies, and I think it might have been like It was something Phil Collins.
Didn't have Pulp Fiction on there.
No, it was The Lion King, and then it might have been Tarzan.
Aladdin.
No, Pulp Fiction was Aladdin. Pulp Fiction was not on there. The Crow was not. Judgment Night. Spawn. Remember those?
The Spawn soundtrack.
That's what I said.
Oh,
what are we doing? But to get back to the take though.
Yeah.
I don't understand anymore how you could have A Year Without Santa Claus as the best Christmas movie ever
of all time.
Now, hear me out.
Yeah.
You are entitled to your own opinion. Hang on.
Okay.
Everyone can have an opinion, but there is objectively right and wrong. That is wrong.
It's wrong. It's incorrect.
That is just wrong.
It's nobody's.
It could be your opinion. That doesn't make you right. That is absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah, no, it's this week in horrible Rossi takes. He's back. He's back on track.
He's back. Yeah.
He's back on track.
But I think he's kind of leaning into it now. He has to be, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell. I don't think
That's
so.
The thing. That's what's driving me nuts. I can't tell.
And I think because he also remember we were talking about Home Alone and Home Alone 2 last week, and he almost talked himself into Home Alone 2 being better, and then ultimately he's like, no, it's not. I was like, you're working yourself up to it.
He was, and then we started ripping on Fryer for it, and then he kind of backed off.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, never mind.
I don't want to be lumped in with him.
Oh, Jesus!
What'd you do?
Can you hear that? No. Okay.
No.
I just fired something on my computer.
Oh, all right.
All right, here we go. Let's get to the next thing.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, Ryan, what do you have?
Well, first of all, what I have is the Video Game Minute. Is brought to you by our good friends, as always, at Wild Bill Soda. We are powered by Wild Bill Soda. Go to drinkwildbills.com. Get some lemonade. Get some tea. Get some soda. You like that black cherry soda.
Yes.
Get the soda.
Yes.
Hot sauces, barbecue sauces, anything you need. Any liquid you want. Wild Bill's got it. Use the promo code Ron Von D.
Get in there.
It's not too late to get it. Well,
no.
It's probably too late to get it before Christmas. If
probably
we're being honest with each other.
But you know what? You're going to want that after Christmas. You know, Christmas is over, and then you've already opened your gifts, and you're like, I don't have soda, and then now you get soda.
And you're gonna get money. Mm-hmm. You know, people are gonna give you straight cash, homie, for Christmas. Use some Wild Bills.
Yeah, send it that way.
You can use Visa prepaid gift cards. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Get you some Wild Bill soda. As always, Video Game Minute powered by Wild Bill Soda. DrinkWildBills.com. Now,
okay,
let's talk Cyberpunk. I know this has kind of been the thing of the thing right now, but
this is intense right now.
This is intense. So much like, okay, bugs, fine. We didn't optimize it for our current gen / old generation, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, all of that stuff. But now, Richard, they are being threatened with a class action lawsuit.
Oof.
So CD Projekt Red, who made all of the Witcher games, a very well-regarded studio who has never really had a miss, is just in it right now. And this is reminiscent of like, what was it? No Man's Sky, which came, it said it was going to be like this infinite thing, and it was garbage. And they had to basically put, so right now, Cyberpunk is off of the Microsoft and PlayStation store. You can't even get it.
Wow.
Like, you can get a hard copy of it if you want.
Yeah, but yeah.
And you're going to have to wait a month for it to be patched. But I'm here to tell you, I am here to tell you right now, I am playing this game. Yes, it crashes. I think it'll crash once on me per night. But I'm playing through it. I really enjoy it. The bones of the game are there.
Yeah.
It is immersive. It is awesome. I have a girlfriend now in the game.
Hey now,
it's great.
What's her name?
Her name's Pan Am, like the
Pan Am,
like the airline.
Do you think she gave you maybe a fake name?
Well, she's been sticking to it, and everyone's been calling her that. So she's something else.
I think she's
fun,
an actress.
But class action lawsuit. So I'm going to have to wait a month for this game to be what it said, at least a month to be what it said it was going to be on console. People who are playing it on PC seem to be having a much easier time, but they're releasing patches slowly, and hopefully it gets better. But I got to tell you, like, it's a good game. Like, I like it. It's just kind of a mess right now.
All
My pick for, like I said on Dale and Keefe, for one of the best games of the year, Hades won IGN's Game of the Year award over Last of Us 2, and people are talking about in the chat Ghost of Tsushima, which I loved.
Yeah.
I will revisit that game eventually on the PlayStation 5 because running it in 60 frames is going to be awesome. Black Panther, now a playable character in Fortnite. They had a nice little reveal for him where all like the Marvel characters came out and he was standing on top of the big panther and he hit him with the Wakanda forever. That's nice. I don't like play
that very much.
Speaking of Fortnite, there is a ninja skin available in Fall Guys. If you're a big ninja fan, I'm not, but
I'm okay.
We've talked about this.
Oh, thanks.
Call of Duty is now in its next season. There is a small map out for this there's like a 2-week event that they're doing with this much smaller Warzone map, and they just introduced cross progression. So now your progression in Cold War and Modern Warfare, you can, when you're playing online, they cross progress. So you can play both games and you get the same progression for both. All right. One thing that's exciting to me, and I know this is like a 5 or 6 year old game, but I'm really excited for it. Grand Theft Auto Online, their next round of heists are going to be geared to people who play solo online. Which if you've ever taken part in a heist with Richard Francis Keefe III, you know
I'm good.
When we can keep you on task, you're good. All I'm saying is just be a professional. That's all I'm saying.
Ryan, it's an open world game for a reason. It allows you to do other things, to get distracted. Maybe you kill somebody who gives you a funny eye. Maybe they look over at you, they give you a stink eye, you put a knife in their throat. Something like that.
And that's what you do. You're like, I got to stab them. I'm like, please stop stabbing people. We're in the middle of a train heist. Please stop stabbing people. But people who usually play solo like me, that's a good thing for me.
Okay.
Diablo Immortal Alpha is out right now. This is the game. People were super pissed about this. I don't know if you remember from BlizzCon. They were supposed to announce this new Diablo game, and they told the crowd that it was a mobile game, and people started booing the shit out of them. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
But the alpha is out now. People were super pissed about it, but it's getting pretty good reviews. So if you guys are big mobile game players, Diablo Immortal Alpha is out right now if you guys want to play that. So that's all the news that's fit to dance to.
I love it. Ryan, are you ready for the topic du jour? Well, I'm glad you asked because it is the topic of the day. And today, it is The Mandalorian Season 2. 8 episodes that just wrapped up on Disney+. We'll begin, as we do with all of our movie and TV reviews, spoiler-free. And let me ask you simply, did you like it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
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 Yeah. Ryan, I got to tell you something. I am in love with Star Wars, and I just want everybody to know. I want to scream from a mountaintop, but I don't have a mountaintop. I have a podcast microphone, and I'm going to tell you, like, I am so back in on Star Wars. It's not even funny. Like, after watching The Mandalorian, or as I was watching The Mandalorian Season 2, I went back and watched Rebels, which I'd never watched, and I shotgunned all of Rebels. Just like, because I know there's going to be some sort of crossover. There's a lot of Mandalore stuff in Rebels. If you guys haven't seen it, it's obviously Filoni who's doing this, who did Clone Wars, that, and this. So you're going to get some overlap, but I'm just like super geeked up about Star Wars now. I'm like looking up comic books to buy for like Star Wars related. I'm just like super excited about where this is going. We just got all these Disney announcements, and some might say, oh Jesus, that's a lot of goddamn shows. Yeah, but if they're good, I'll watch them all, and there's a chance that they're all going to be good, or you know what, maybe 1 or 2 of them isn't, and like 5 or 6 of them are great,
and that's fine.
They'll keep going, and you watch them, and you move on. You know,
now the one that's something of the Rangers of the Old Republic or something, the New Republic.
Yeah, the New Republic one.
Is that the Cara Dune show?
I'm pretty sure that's going to be Cara Dune
and
Grief. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I just wanted to make sure
it's a good point. Like, there's a few that are going to run in the timeline of the Mandalorian. Then there are going to be others that are not.
There's the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Rangers, and the other thing are all in the same timeline.
Yes.
So, like you said, I mean, they got it under control. Like, they reined it in, and I think there were. What's the phrase? Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
At one point, you have, J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and George Lucas and all these people just kind of like adding these things to it that just kind of didn't feel the movies. Okay. The last trilogy in my head, all said and done, B-. right? Which is fine.
Yeah, I
It
definitely
had its issues.
Yeah.
I happen to like them more than, but I know I happen to like them more than other people.
Yeah.
It seems as though we got a saddle on it now, and we're like, okay, we have our guy in Dave Filoni and John Favreau and his guy Dave Filoni are really taking control of this, and it's what they've managed to do in 2 seasons of this show, repairing everything bad that you thought about Star Wars. That's back. Like everything you loved about Star Wars is back.
I think what happened too is, so obviously the original trilogy, which is everything, and that's where all of this is spun off from. That is great. Obviously, there's like whatever, there's a couple flaws to it, but that's what's great. The prequel trilogy was awful. The new trilogy was, again, you can kind of like talk yourself into it, out of it. Like there was good parts, bad parts, everything else. But I think what the shows have done, like Clone Wars and Rebels, again, the good episodes of it, the Mandalorian, good episodes of it, and then also the one-off movie like Rogue One, less so Solo, but Rogue One, they all enhance the 9 main movies. Like those 9 movies are all better off because of these shows. Like there are characters that were kind of, you wanted to like, and you're like kind of weak, but then these shows make them so much better. Or the famous loophole, also the Death Star can just be blown up that way. That's kind of fucking stupid. Well, Rogue One explains to you why it's not stupid and why it makes a ton of sense. And I think the Mandalorian, especially with Filoni, and especially because of where the timeline is, whatever it is, 5-6 years after Return of the Jedi, they're going to be able to, I think, make the new trilogy look better in the long run.
And what's amazing too, and I know you've seen it, they do that thing where they have the round table discussion with Filoni and Favreau and all the directors of the season. And he talks about, was it the Duel of the Fates? And why it's called that. And
he talked it up from Phantom Menace, and he's like,
and I was like,
how important it is.
Captivated. Like I'm sitting there, like on my couch, like leaning in, like listening to this guy talk about this, and I'm like, this guy
gets it, man.
He gets it.
He's perfect. Like we're as Star Wars fans, you're in good hands, assuming he gets a lot of say in all these shows and movies and stuff.
And it just came out today, right before. I mean, I'm reading Twitter right before we go on, and John Favreau saying that, like, basically Dave Filoni's like locked in a room writing Ahsoka right now. Like he's writing the series right now. Yeah, and I know you're excited. I think that if you would say the most, you're most excited for that. And and he's single-handedly, that's his character. I mean, that's his creation. So like, I mean, he's the perfect person to do it at the right time. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. Did you think? And again, I love this. We're gonna get into it, but I'm just gonna sort of attack it from the other side a little bit. Did you think this season? I'll give you 2 kind of questions. Was it too side missiony? And looking back on it, was it too much? Hey, let's prop up this character who's going to get a spinoff.
No, yes and no. So I do believe that it was a little bit too side missiony early on. I think there was a little bit of we're establishing something.
First 2 episodes definitely were.
You could even argue like the first 3.
True. Yeah, the third one I liked because of who showed up. But you're right. It was also it was a side mission.
It was and the frog lady was chapter 10, right?
2. Chapter 10, episode 2. Yep.
And to me, you're reestablishing these characters and kind of getting deeper into this stuff. So I don't really mind. But the thing is for one-off episodes, they were good. They were fun. They made sense, like for the characters and like a little bit of peril and all that stuff. So I was fine with it. So I see this in kind of like 2 halves. So I see like the first 3 episodes, and then like 4 of the last 5 are, and I'll get into it when we get into spoiler. I don't want to say too much right now, but a little too early on side missiony. And I know that's fine. There were some new characters that were introduced that were great. Yeah. And they kind of hinted at, and then you kind of knew it was coming, and then it did.
Yeah. No, that's true. I thought, again, I had no real problem with the first episode, and we'll go episode by episode in spoilers. The second episode, I'm like, all right, you only have 8 episodes, and when this show is great, there's nothing better, and I kind of wanted a little bit more of that. But at the same time, I'm also okay with the fact that The Mandalorian is this sort of like a Western, And Fitzy and I have come up with the term Questern, and he's going to just go on Questerns. And like, that's kind of the character, and like that's okay. That's going to be an entertaining 30 to 40 minutes of him doing it. It doesn't always have to be. And I think what the problem was, they ended on such a cliffhanger. The season 1 finale, more Moff Gideon, Darksaber, all that shit. You're like, all right, let's go, get into it. And then they take their time getting into it. That might have stopped. Like, that might have bothered some people. I didn't care as much.
Because I enjoyed all of the episodes.
Because they were good, right?
Yeah.
Now, compared to season 1, better, worse, the same? I thought it was either the same or better.
Slightly better.
Maybe, yeah. I think better. I forget what I gave the first season. I would probably give this 5.5. I could be talking into a 6, but 5.5.
Yeah, hard 5.5. And I think we talked about the Bryce Dallas Howard episode not being that great the first time around. And then she came back and directed one of the better episodes.
Yes, so I think we now have to, first of all, apologize to Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
And second of all, I think it's so much about what that episode is going to be, how it's written. I think the directors can obviously make it better without question, but they can probably only do so much. And so a great example is Peyton Reed, who directed Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. He directed the Frog Lady episode.
And the last episode.
I was going to say, also the finale.
Yeah.
Which fucking ripped. So that's why at first I'm like, So like, I think they can only do so much. We'll get into the Robert Rodriguez episode because I think you could definitely get some like fingerprints of Robert Rodriguez in that episode.
Yep.
And it made sense for him to do that one. But it was good. The old characters were good. Most of them were all back. The new characters I thought were at some of it the strongest of the season.
And it's funny too, because the new characters of this show are old characters other places.
Yes, correct.
So it's kind of misleading to say like new characters.
Yeah, it's true. Like if you just watch The Mandalorian, and I guess if you watch the movies, it's one thing, but if you never watched or heard of Clone Wars or Rebels, there's some new characters to you, but two of the best characters to me that showed up here. Anything else non-spoiler that you want to hit on before we go to the episodes?
I'm happy. No, because I was about to say something, but it's a spoiler. So
let me ask you this real quick. And Disney Plus is already locked into their model, but would you rather all 8 episodes out at once, or do you like the once a week?
I kind of like once a week, right? Because I feel like if you want to be,
I'll tell you this much. I remember the episodes a lot better this way. Like if you told me if you were like, hey, do you remember the specific episode of Stranger Things? I'd say no. I remember the season. I don't remember the episode.
And I remember that part, but I don't remember the whole episode.
But like this one, I can tell you because we would sort of have a week to talk about it and react to it. Like I can break these up a little bit better. So I'm okay with it. I like that some shows do like the all at once. Like I'm good with that. Like on a weekend, you want to watch a show, but I'm actually okay if this is how Disney Plus wants to do it, and the fact that they're going to be adding more shows. Like, great if you put them all at once. I think it's going to be a kind of a cluster. Yeah, and I wonder if it leads to more potential crossovers down the line too.
Or what would be great too. I mean, there's no schedule for this, but what if you had like, there was a Rangers episode on a Wednesday and Mandalorian on Friday. So like you could do.
Well, you're gonna laugh at me, but you could CW this thing where you have
one night a week, every night a week.
Arrow. Yep. Like 5 nights a week, you have a show in the DC CW universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good. I'm good with that. All right. So should we go spoilers?
Let's do it.
I think I actually have I think I even have the spoiler theme here. Is this right? How about that? Look out, gang.
Here come the spoilers.
All right, I think the best way to do this probably is do episode breakdown, talk about whatever happened in the episode, what's going on there, and then at the end we can have some sort of unanswered questions and things like that. Make sense?
Let's do it.
Episode 1, which is chapter 9, The Marshal. This is where you're introduced to Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth, who's wearing the Boba Fett armor, and you also get a sand dragon that kills Sarlacc.
Yes, sort of a great dragon.
Yeah. So hey, you gotta kill this thing and save us, and then I'll give you the armor. Because it's a great scene though at the beginning when he goes, because he's in search of another Mandalorian.
Yes, they told him someone tells him they found one on Tatooine. He has to go back to Tatooine because they saw one there, and like this little outpost town called
Oh yeah.
Moss something. It was Mos
Plague,
Pelgo.
Pelgo.
So
Pelgo.
and
Pelgo.
as soon as this person in the Boba Fett armor comes into this bar, I immediately went, "That's not fucking him." It didn't fit right.
No,
I think they did that. It looked like it was like hanging off him a little bit, like he wasn't wearing it right. Yeah, I'm like, that's not him.
And then
I was like, it's cool to see it. Yeah,
it's great. Pops the helmet off, and Mando's like, "That you are not. That ain't it."
And he's like, and he'd be like, I wanted him to swear here and be like, take that fucking armor. And I said it out loud. I was like, take that shit off right now.
Yeah,
right now, take it off.
You don't belong in that.
Yeah.
What do you think of Cobb Vanth, though, the character?
I mean,
cool name.
Timothy Oliphant is kind of like a cool customer. He's a cool, cool customer. I like him in that kind of like the sheriff. They call it the marshal, but he's kind of definitely like an old Western sheriff.
You think we'll see him next season?
Briefly.
I bet we do. Like, we got Bill Burr again. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Cobb Vanth episode.
I mean, do we have to keep going back to Tatooine? Though? I'm kind of sick of Tatooine. To be honest, I want to see other planets.
Fine.
Let's go to Kashyyyk.
Do you
go to Kashyyyk?
Oh, I would love to go to Kashyyyk. Yeah, they got to go to Kashyyyk. They'll go to Kashyyyk. Do you think that they never really alluded to this too much, but the fact I thought this is where they were going is because that big sand monster. They were like, oh, how does it go in like Sarlacc pits? And they're like, well, it can eat a Sarlacc. Could that have been what saved Boba Fett?
I think so. I think that's it. In the books, he crawls out. Okay. Like he gets out of it and he's all mangled and everything like that. But
they were setting that up though in a way where I was like, that can't be a coincidence.
But... Well, I mean, because he says something like there's nothing that can defeat a Sarlacc, and he's like, well, this can. Like this thing can, so that might have been what got him out. And he's supposed it takes 1,000 years to digest someone in a Sarlacc.
Yeah, it's a while.
So he has a fighting chance there for a while,
Yeah, you're in there for a bit.
Yeah.
So this episode was fine. Like it was good. I thought it was a good start. If you had to give the episode a dork score, what would it be?
This one's about a 4, I think.
Yeah.
So. It was good. I was like, all right, I'm getting my feet back underneath me again. Like it's good. What a redemption for the Sand People. The Sand People that they So good for them.
The Tusken Raiders. Yeah. You got them back. So that first episode was written and directed by Jon Favreau. The second episode of the season was called The Passenger, directed by the aforementioned Peyton Reed, written by Jon Favreau. This is the Frog Lady episode, and I'll be honest, like whatever. Like it was a creature feature, not just the Frog Lady, but you had the spiders and all that stuff. But to me, clearly the weakest episode of the season.
One of them, yeah. I think, and again, this is where I was like, all right, we need to kind of pick this up a little bit. As much as the Frog Lady going to the ice planet with the big spiders and everything, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But we need to and I think at this point I was like, we got to pick this up. It was nice to see
a Frog Lady spin-off series.
No.
If she was the star of the show.
No. It was frustrating.
Hold on, let me finish. It's a musical.
No.
Okay.
Because you can't understand it. No one can understand her.
No, I know, but she's got a bunch of eggs.
Well, I did like our boy Grogu eating the eggs. That was
the
funny.
Funniest part of the episode, which made me think maybe he was Sith because he was trying to put that lady's line out of commission. And
I will say, just to direct something at the chat, I know they're called the Tusken Raiders. That's one of my fantasy football team names, and it's just that they call them Sand People on Tatooine. That's why I just used that phrase.
For God's sakes. Come on. Chapter 11, the third episode, was called The Heiress, and this is where you get Bo-Katan, who is awesome. And Bo-Katan is a character from the Clone Wars and Rebels, and the actress who plays her is also the actress Katie Sackhoff, who voices her on the TV on the cartoon,
which is crazy. Because the way she looked exactly like I think she would have looked. Katie Sackhoff was also on Battlestar Galactica, and she was on 24 for season 2.
All right.
So if she looked familiar, that's why. But again, awesome casting. The Night Owls.
Night Owls are sick, and you get Sasha Banks' debut. Oscar Reeves is her character. It was funny because people weren't sure when she first got cast, people were all over the place. Like, was Sasha Banks going to play Sabine Wren? Was she going to play Ahsoka Tano? Like, before they got like, they didn't know what she was going to be. And so she's a character, Koska Reeves, who is a Mandalorian and in Bo-Katan's crew. And what's cool here is, again, this show's The Mandalorian, but the Mandalores, kind of a complicated history.
Well, I thought it was kind of like a side conversation, but remember he said Din Djarin was like basically giving them a hard time for taking their helmets off, and they looked at each other and they're like, "Oh, he's one of those."
Right.
Like there's different factions of Mandalorian. So like he's what these like zealots who like never take their helmets off, never show their face, and they're like oh, he's one of those. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
they have been torn apart. That's great. Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. And so then they go on like a side mission, but I didn't mind the side mission at all because it was involving these other Mandalorians who saved him. They're going after Moff Gideon. They're targeting the Darksaber. They're referencing that. That's super important to Mandalorians. Mm-hmm. So real quick on that, there was a Jedi who was also a Mandalorian way back in the day. So they made his lightsaber a fucking Darksaber.
Right.
And so he was Mandalorian and Jedi. And now, and they kind of get into it in the end at the last episode, but if you have the Darksaber, you can rule Mandalore.
With one caveat, though. The caveat is, and we're into spoilers, so it's fine. So this is something from Clone Wars, is that they talk about this at length. You have to win it.
So here's the bullshit, though. And this is the last episode, but we'll jump into it here because this is when you first get Bo-Katan. Is in Rebels, Sabine Wren gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. And
now, is that because she's not a Mandalorian?
No, Sabine Wren is.
Oh, that's right.
Sabine Wren is a Mandalorian. Sabine
Wren is the one that Obi-Wan almost ran off with, right?
No.
What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of Bo-Katan's sister.
Yes, okay.
It's all very confusing.
I'm all over the place. Sorry.
So Bo-Katan's oldest sister, the Duchess, she was the one that like at one point ran Mandalore, and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars is like obsessed with her, and like they were almost a thing. She's dead. And so Sabine Wren, who is one of the rebels in the show Rebels, she's a Mandalore, but she's also whatever. She's good with like making weapons and all this shit. She is on a thing helping Ezra, who's this Jedi in the thing. Long story short, they find the Darksaber, I believe, on Dathomir, because at one point Darth Maul had it.
Yes.
You got some of the shit's really worth watching in Clone Wars and Rebels. It's confusing. There's a lot of it.
But at one point, what's it? Darth Maul takes over Mandalore,
right?
And has the Darksaber.
Yeah. Follow him because he has the fucking Darksaber. So anyway, they find it, and Sabine Wren gets the Darksaber. She actually trains with it a little bit. She trains with it because they have a couple of Jedi in their crew. But then when she meets Bo-Katan, she's like, "No, you have it." And at first she's like, "No." And then like whatever, a couple episodes go by, she's like, "No, like you should take it." And she takes it. She just takes it. So that's why in the last episode I'm like, it's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that is kind of bullshit. But it's cool. I think it's a cool wrinkle to it. I don't want it to be lame.
And unless something changed, and again, Filoni's so smart that like this will come back up again. And I have my
maybe she talks about it, but like it actually, I took it once and it didn't felt like I didn't deserve it, or like someone, that's how I lost it, is because I gave it. Yeah.
My John Anderson, our producer on Dale and Keefe, was saying something similar. He's like, well, if you notice, Bo-Katan right now doesn't exactly have a lot of Mandalorians with her.
Yeah.
So maybe when she got it, she was kind of like a false leader or something. Maybe. But it's also cool is at the end of this episode 3, Bo-Katan tells Mando, you should go look for Ahsoka Tano. So that's when they first mentioned her. And so I was hard for 2 weeks. Episode 4, chapter 12, The Siege. This one to me was like a good, not great episode. You get Cara Dune and Greef Karga back in the mix, and you sort of get that crew rolling together a little bit. But if you are looking for more of the Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett stuff, it wasn't there. Or not in this episode anyway.
But this is an incredibly important episode for Star Wars in general, because what they did in this episode was, one, they explained why they wanted Grogu. Why they wanted Baby Yoda.
Yep.
And what they were doing. Right. And so this has led to conversation, right? Because you look when they're in that laboratory, because I forget the doctor's name. Dr. Pershing. He's conducting these experiments, and he references the fact that this kid has the highest M count they found, or something like that, meaning there's midichlorian count. And you look in like these test tubes, and there's like these bodies, and one of them looks like Snoke.
Yeah.
So like you're thinking, okay, this is where, why have we never heard of Snoke? Why have we never, and like, this is why. Like they're reanimating these people with the Force.
Play Snoke's music in this episode?
They did. So like that's why people are kind of like, so this is incredible. This was an incredibly important, when people are like, well, it's another one of these like throwaway episodes. Like it really isn't.
Yeah, no, there was more. No, I think after the second episode, there were like, it was either, every minute of it, or at least a few kind of clues, for further stuff. So no, I'm good with this. This one was actually directed by Carl Weathers as well. So shout out to Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, yeah. Apollo Creed. The other thing too, one of the things that the ongoing like motif in this is like the Razor Crest just keeps getting just fucked up the entire it just until it finally goes, but
yeah,
but the thing is just constantly fucked up
too.
Yeah.
So now we're halfway through season 2, and we get on to episode 5, chapter 13, The Jedi. This one's written and directed by Dave Filoni. And this was my favorite episode of TV all season long. The last episode was great and rivaled it, and it was damn close. And you could probably go 1A, 1B. But I love this because it was a big risk. You take a character that is so good in 2 different series, more so Clone Wars, but she's also in Rebels for a handful of episodes or whatever. And this is her first crack at live action, and it was perfect. And they also don't completely overshadow Mando, because he does some badass stuff in this episode too. And so we talked about it a little bit at the time, but how you have like the Western meets like a samurai movie, and just like the way it was shot, the way they sort of teamed up. We get Grogu's name in this episode. They also name drop Grand Admiral Thrawn for the first time in live action stuff. So I'm like, this goddamn thing had everything. And Mandalorian picked up a new weapon. He got a
new weapon.
Spear.
A Beskar. And we found out that, was it in this one that, we found out in this one that lightsabers can't cut through pure Beskar.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So that's kind of big. Like you see, but they keep talking about Beskar steel and like how important it is and how valuable it is, but they never mention lightsabers with it. They never said like it stops lightsabers, but you see it, which is incredible. And so, like you said, that opening shot where it's just fog. Oh, you see her moving like that's how and they nailed it. Like that's how she moves. She's like super athletic, super fast, and it's just, she's all over the place.
The double lightsaber is so cool.
Yeah.
We've seen so many characters use one, and then when Darth Maul used sort of like basically like the big bow staff one, that was sick. But then for Ahsoka Tano to use 2, it's sick.
And it's the long and it has a long one and a short one, like a samurai Tanto would be a shorter sword. So that's actually really cool. And the shot with her and Elspeth, like that wide shot of them like facing off again, it's super like
all over that.
Oh yeah, and it's such a like who the fuck am I? Seven Samurai, Kurosawa, like shot. It was super super cool.
Loved it so much. Chapter 14 was called The Tragedy, and Boba Fett and Fennec, and this is where you find out that turns out not the most overrated character in the history of
no.
In fact, he is
holy shit. Yeah.
And now when people say he's their favorite character or one of their favorite characters, it now makes sense.
And what a perfect episode for Robert Rodriguez to direct.
100%.
Absolutely perfect directing. Jon Favreau written, but like you said, but like Robert Rodriguez
made him look like a badass.
Who's like, his thing is action. Like he's an action director, and he absolutely nailed it. And I would say I watched it over that once he gets his armor back, right? when he hits the guy with he hits him in the stomach and like rocket punches him. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
He has the guy and he has him like a headlock, and it's just kind of like he punches him and just I'm like, and then like does that like shoot over the shoulder, like he shoots the guy like over his shoulder without looking at him. You're like, Jesus Christ, knee rockets. But that fucking club he had too, like that is like a war club. He was like caving in stormtroopers' heads. I'm like, this guy's fucking badass. Badass.
Fennec's badass too. Like the two of them together are badass. But then I love how the whole thing works out. And he's like, he gets his stuff, and then everybody's like, no, like, listen, like I said that little guy would be safe. So like we're gonna figure this out. And so now you're like, oh my god, now they're teaming up. Now they're teaming up, and they're gonna go get Grogu because he was attacked. But also Grogu on that ancient temple. Like I kind of figured, and we talked about it at the time. I've been saying we were gonna get Luke Skywalker the whole time. I just thought it made the most sense. There were other guys that maybe you could get, but we also know there are not many Jedi around right now.
Well, they mentioned that too, and I thought,
yes, Ahsoka Tano was like, "There's not many," and so if Grogu was gonna sit on that rock and talk to somebody, you got to think between Jedi and Force Awakens, how many Jedi are even doing anything?
I would say half dozen.
Yeah, it's like snow leopards out there. There's not many.
Yeah, it's not many, and they're alone. They don't travel. They're solitary hunters. But it could have been a couple of people. I mean, some people were theorizing that Mace Windu was going to show up.
See, I thought he was dead, but again, people thought Boba Fett was dead. So
yeah,
Ezra Bridger,
right? I mean, that would have made sense too, but it just wasn't. It wouldn't have worked as well as they did. You know,
this was great, but this episode was so good. And then I'm curious because I know you tweeted about you had a lot of thoughts after episode 7 of this season, chapter 15, The Believer.
Yes,
which was the Bill Burr episode. His character Miggs Mayfield is back, is super important. He's a former stormtrooper. He's reformed, and the blah blah blah. They go on this whole thing, and he and Mando takes his helmet off. Yada yada yada. What were your thoughts?
Not now. Was like the one thing I kept going back to is like, not now. Like, I don't need this right now. Like, we had such momentum. I feel like it could have been if Burr's story when he's sitting there with his old commander. Yeah, that was super intense. That was a super intense, and that saved the episode, to be honest with you, because we had so much momentum. You had, the Ahsoka Tano episode into the Boba Fett episode. And then we have 2 episodes left, and it just kind of like killed all the momentum. It could have. And I was like, this could have happened. And I get it. Like with the story structure, like it had to happen now, but like, it just felt like everything came to like a halt. Like all the momentum you built. And I get it. You get Cara Dune, you get Fennec Shand, you get Boba Fett, you get the Mandalorian. They're all teaming up. They're doing the "you son of a bitch, I'm in" kind of thing. And Burr, I thought it was good to see him toned down.
Yeah, because I didn't like Burr last season, but you know what it was? I don't think I liked the crew that Burr was with. I didn't love that episode last season. So when I heard that Burr was going to be back, I wasn't as thrilled with it, but I thought he did a good job in this episode. And somebody tweeted this, so I didn't come up with this, but I saw on Twitter they were like, the reformed stormtrooper storyline was a lot better with Miggs Mayfield in 30 minutes than it was for Finn.
Yeah, I forget who said that, and I'm sorry I know who said that. It might have been Wesley Burho who said that, but if it's not, I'm sorry, because he said like that story with Bill Burr, that 5 minutes was better than anything Finn got.
Seriously,
and it's absolutely true. Like him, why he and it summed up the whole character.
Cool. Like there was some good action or whatever, but you're right. You're like, we just got 2 of the best episodes, 2 of the best anything Star Wars in the longest time, and then they threw this at you. And obviously, there's that end scene where Mando sends that transmission to Gideon, being like, "I'm coming for Grogu. Like he means so much to me, and like I'm coming for him."
It's a Rambo scene. He's like, I'm coming to you. I'm coming for you. Yeah.
What'd you think of Mando popping the old helmet off though? They'd be like, "Hey, you can't." So he just takes the helmet off.
I think it's just
how much he loves Grogu.
It's good now. I think having met other Mandalorian, like real Mandalorians, because
Yeah.
he's not and Boba's not. They're not real Mandalorians, so
No.
they call them foundlings. So meeting real Mandalorians, I think, changed that a little bit.
That's a good point. Maybe. The final episode, Chapter 16, The Rescue, directed by Peyton Reed. And, oh my God.
Start to finish, man. This episode was
my
awesome.
God. And I loved the fact, because you weren't really sure. Again, I kind of thought you were going to get Luke Skywalker, but you weren't really sure who was going to be involved in this episode. And when you got Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks coming back, and when you had, Cara Dune in there, and obviously Boba Fett and Fennec, so you have like an absolute team. You have an
son of a bitch. I'm in.
The team is together, and they're going to get Moff Gideon, who's been sort of like this villain. We haven't seen a ton of him really in the whole 2 seasons, and you're after him. You're trying to save Grogu, and it's just so badass. You got the Dark Troopers, and you think they have sort of a solution for him. Mando kills one of them, sends them all out to shoot.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, that's over with.
Oh shit, they can fly.
No, it's not. It's not over with.
And I think what's great about this too is and people are like, well, Gideon went down pretty easy, but like you found out 2-3 episodes before, Gideon's not the real bad guy. It's still Thrawn. Like who's above him, right? It has to be. Is Thrawn's above him, right?
I would assume so. I mean, if he's back in this, I mean, I like Moff Gideon. You're right. Like, I still don't really know. And then I would still think, I don't know. Like, is the Empire is the Emperor pulling strings? I know he's technically dead, but then obviously he comes back, and the new one.
He mentions the New Order, right?
Does he mention it? I feel like that's on its way. Like, that's got to. We got to be getting close to that.
Yeah, I think he mentions the fact that like this new, but he doesn't call it like the New Order. He's like, this new world order or something like that is going to be.
Yeah. The NWO. You're like, shit.
Like, oh shit. Yeah.
Hogan music?
Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Razor Ramon.
But you have this really amazing moment where you're thinking like, all right, is there a Jedi who's going to show up? Like who's the Deus Ex Machina? And all of a sudden you get like, it's a lone X-wing. Like, someone goes like, "Oh, great, one X-wing."
That'll do it.
And the fucking hair on my arms went. I was like, "Oh shit,
so good."
Oh shit, like I'm like, yeah, that's all you need. One X-wing.
That's all you need. And then they absolutely gave Luke Skywalker the Darth Vader and Rogue One treatment. Like exactly, like almost shot for shot. Obviously, green lightsaber, not red lightsaber, but appearing in the dark, showing up, just wreaking havoc, and it was just so badass. Dare I say, the best Luke Skywalker scene of all time?
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, they did for him what they did for. But if you watch the scenes again, like Luke's like bobbing and weaving, like he's moving a little bit, whereas like fucking Vader's just like straight line, like he's just like doesn't even move his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a little bit different.
Just so cool.
But it did for Luke Skywalker what that scene did in Rogue One, and it was equally as good. I would say that, as you said, is the best Skywalker scene in all of Star Wars.
I really think that it is, and he's had some other good stuff, but I thought that was the best thing. And then R2-D2 rolls in, which that was pretty sweet. You see him for a minute, but here's what's crazy. And so then after all that, they get Grogu, and we already talked about it before, real quick. We talked about it before. Mando gets the Darksaber from Moff Gideon. And I probably should have predicted this because the Darksaber is so important to Mandalore. And if you're going to have a character, the Mandalorian, you can't introduce a sick weapon like that and then get rid of it and like have somebody take it and go away. So like he's going to have it. Now, he is going to have the rightful claim to rule Mandalore if he wants,
because he defeated the guy in combat who had it.
So my question would be, does Bo-Katan in the next season become some sort of adversary now?
Ish. I mean, kind of like because he doesn't want it, and he obviously doesn't want to fight her.
He even says like, I yield. But then I wonder what's going to happen with that. I'm also left because there's that very emotional scene where Grogu touches his face, without the helmet on. But then Grogu goes with Luke. And so now Mando really for 2 seasons has just been protecting and trying to find Grogu like somebody else like him, finds out he's a Jedi, so he's trying to find a Jedi. So now Grogu's gone and Mando has the Darksaber. So I'm like, what's next for him? Like, what does he want to do?
I mean, that's the only thing that I could kind of go back to is like he keeps talking about taking back Mandalore, like taking it back. He had never been there. So it's like, now he has this responsibility. Now he's technically the leader of all the Mandalorians.
Right. Yeah, if he wants it.
If he wants it, but I think you need to see Mandalore. And I think at some point, you kind of have to. Do you see Maul at some point?
So I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. I feel like you've seen it or you're not.
Yeah.
And he's died once before, so maybe he could come back again. But there's actually a very disappointing scene in Rebels where Darth Maul catches back up with Obi-Wan Kenobi in Tatooine, where Obi-Wan is watching Luke Skywalker from a distance. And Darth Maul confronts him and Obi-Wan kills him again. I'm hoping Darth Maul's not dead. I really hope that Darth Maul's
this guy's like a cockroach.
It was a lame death too.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that he doesn't die.
But what if you got Dathomir and you got like the Force Witches? I'd be
sweet. All in on that.
Yeah.
If he goes to Dathomir, that'll be the best episode next season.
Yeah.
If he shows up, but I'm just curious. Grogu has really become the in some people's minds is the main character of the show, but in most people's minds, he's sort of like the main sidekick for the show. Could you have, if there's 8 episodes next season, how many does Grogu have to be in your mind?
1.
Oof, I need more than that.
No, I think he's gonna. I don't think, but I think he's gotta go train. He's got to go to Luke's school.
So here's the thing: I don't think Kylo Ren is alive yet, based on the time.
Mm-hmm.
But will Grogu and Kylo be alive together? Or
they have to, because if he's going to Luke in the new Jedi Order, like they have to be in the same school.
So I also have. So you remember this scene in Rise of Skywalker where Rey heals? Didn't she heal Kylo?
Yes.
And you were like, wait a minute, they can do that? And then you remember last season, Grogu healed Carl Weathers. So don't you think Grogu probably teaches Luke how to do that? And then Luke puts it in like the stones or whatever, and then Rey learns it from Grogu?
But like this is what we've been talking about. Like this is the Filoni thing that he does. Like he fucking fixed it.
Yeah.
Like since when do they fucking do that? Like,
well,
there
Grogu
you go.
did it. Yeah, Grogu.
Yeah, like some Force users can do that. Yeah, it's fucking it's genius.
So post-credit scene, you get Boba Fett and Fennec going back to Jabba the Hutt's palace. Of course, Jabba the Hutt's dead.
Jabba the Hutt is long dead.
But Bib Fortuna's not dead.
And put on some weight. Bib's put on some weight.
Yeah, Bib got fat.
Yeah.
And Bib was there, and Boba Fett kills him, takes his throne, and then it flashes and goes boom. The book of Boba Fett coming December 2021. At that moment, we didn't know what it was. It was determined or told today for sure that it is a series. So it's not a movie. It's not like a one episode thing. It's not even the name of season 3. It's going to be his own show coming out next year.
I'm so excited for this because, like we said before, I mean, this character's kind of gotten shit on a little bit. Like, oh, he's best bounty hunter in the world. He stinks. Like he dies in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to take over like the criminal underworld, but it's also like a revenge thing too. So, I think this is kind of like an anti-hero kind of thing that's
Probably.
going on.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so awesome. It's going to be awesome.
God, yeah.
And I think one of the most looked over characters in this whole series is Fennec Shand, who played by Ming-Na Wen, who's like so good. So good. And that's a character I would love to see in like a video game.
Oh yeah. I'm with you on that.
You know what I mean? Where you don't have, it's, there's no Force users. We're just sniping at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be sick. You know what's funny is going back to when The Mandalorian first came out, I remember Jon Favreau talking about, or it was like written that, this is going to be like, it's in Star Wars, but it's kind of its own thing.
Not anymore.
You have fucking Luke Skywalker. You have a character that looks like Yoda. You have it's not. You have Ahsoka Tano. You have all the men. You have Bo-Katan. It's not its own thing, and I don't want it to be its own thing. Like, I think you can do some of those side mission things and whatever. I'm fine with that. But all these other ones, I am curious though how they plan on going, like, meshing all these shows together, and if that's the plan. I mentioned the DC CW shows before. Actually, Jordan in the chat's talking about that now too. Like, the problem with those shows is they would kind of stop whatever they were doing and then all of a sudden like shoehorn in a crossover that didn't really line up with like what all the characters were doing, but they would do like a cool crossover and then they'd be done, they'd go back to it. Whereas this show needs to be better than that. And like, if they cross over, it needs to make sense for like both shows or all three shows. Otherwise it just looks stupid. And it's like, what are we doing?
And I was reading an article that basically like the only gripe that some people, like true Star Wars fans, had was that the fact that like what all of the other movies did was make the Star Wars universe so small. Like everyone's connected. And like this was a way for it to expand.
Yeah.
And by bringing Luke back, you made it small again. Like everybody knows it. Like this is a whole galaxy and everyone knows everybody. Like these characters just happen to cross paths all the time.
Yeah, see,
like,
I think I'm okay with that because I write that off as the power of the Jedi. And like you had that scene where Grogu was on the temple and he was
Seeing
like,
Stone. Yeah.
He was like calling out to people or whatever. And so there aren't that many Jedi. And at right now, the most powerful Jedi is Luke. So yeah, I'm okay with that. That's not the end of the world.
No. But again, like you've expanded this universe only to in one moment contract it all and like make it all, but whatever. But I can't wait to see like kind of what the expansion of this, like the takeoff of this with these 4 shows: Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. Like that's going to be, and they all, like you said, they all kind of weave together. So, Yeah,
I can't wait. So season 3, I guess my expectations, I already sort of hit on it before, but I think Mando's going to have the Darksaber. He's going to have to either be on Bo-Katan's side or against her. That's going to happen. Like it's either or. Either she's like on board with him or like, but I feel like her character, because correct me if I'm wrong, she's like one of the few characters that got highlighted in this series that was not given a spin-off show.
Yeah, so she has to play a huge role in the next thing. So. And maybe it comes down to the point where, like, because she's a legit Mandalorian, and whereas Din Djarin isn't. So, like, maybe she's, kind of a mentor to him, where she kind of teaches him like what it is to be a Mandalorian, like what it means to, and we know how they feel about their foundlings and they're kind of looked down on, but maybe we can change both characters that way.
Maybe you can. Maybe if you can change, I can change. We could change, kind of thing. Here's a good question. From Nicholas in the chat: will Luke ever meet Ahsoka Tano?
I think they have to, right?
They have to. I think they have to.
And I mean, what
pretty amazing.
Considering her. Who her her master was, Anakin. So, that discussion between the two of them about who your father was before you knew him. I knew your father. And I think that's a really cool moment that would happen. Now, do you keep the deep fake Luke, or do you bring in Sebastian Stan?
I'd go Sebastian Stan. They did a good job with the make Luke look young in this one, or Mark Hamill. I mean, but I would go Sebastian Stan.
He looks fucking just like him.
I know.
So I also give him that weird haircut. Yeah.
I also think the Obi-Wan series that's coming out, which is going to involve Darth Vader, and remember they said Hayden Christensen's coming back for that. I'm super excited for that. I think you kind of have to have Ahsoka Tano pop up there once.
Yes,
she's around then. She's much younger, but you got to have her.
She knows him.
She knows both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that.
There you go.
Okay.
But what a cool moment that would be to have Luke and Ahsoka on the same.
Yes.
That
would must watch. Yeah, I wonder. I don't need Luke again in the season 3. I would love Ahsoka Tano maybe once. I would love Grogu a few times more than you. I need him, or at least even an update. They don't even have to be together.
No,
but I think it would just be nice to see him doing his thing. Yeah. I'd be okay with that. And who else? I think Fett's gonna end up going to do his own thing. Oh, Thrawn. Give me some more.
We're gonna need him.
Although I wonder if
you're not gonna mention him and then not bring him up again.
Is that gonna be Ahsoka's villain? Like I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
But you can't. I mean, we've set that one episode set Ahsoka on a path.
Yeah.
Because we now know who she's looking for, so that's going to be the whole point of her series, is finding him.
Yeah.
Because she says like, "Where's your boss?" And they said like, "Who? Like Gideon?" He's like, "No, not Gideon," like or something like that, right?
No. Wait, what'd you say? Sorry.
Who did she say? She said like, "Who?" She's like, "Where's your boss?" To the
yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, so and so." He's like, "No, not him. Thrawn."
Yeah, to Lizbeth to know where her master is. So
Yeah.
her master was Thrawn. So I still don't know if Moff Gideon and Thrawn are what their deal is.
No, I have no idea.
Because again, it's a weird ending for Thrawn at the end of Rebels. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but it's a weird ending. So you can kind of do a bunch of different things with how they bring him back. So anyway, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Let's
fucking
get to
awesome.
Portion of the program. Ryan, boom.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb.
All right, we like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also defend a goal.
I will receive.
Okay.
This week. This is a combination podcast and show, if you can believe it. So this started as a podcast, but now it's a series on Netflix, and it's called Song Exploder, where the host of the podcast, basically his whole thing is he sits down with songwriters and they talk about songs that they've written and like how the songs came about, which I love that stuff. But one episode in particular, if you're interested at all in this type of thing, he has on Netflix, the Netflix show, he sits down with Trent Reznor and talks about the song Hurt. It's awesome. Some of the other people who show up in this series on Netflix are Dua Lipa, who I love. Alicia Keys, Lin-Manuel Miranda. REM talks about Losing My Religion, which is actually really cool. So if you like that kind of thing, like where songwriting or songs come from, it's both the podcast is like 300 episodes in or something, and it's a new series on Netflix called Song Exploder. So check that out.
I believe the first time that Dylan broke up with Brenda on 90210, she listened to Losing My Religion on repeat in her room.
That's a nice little factoid you had there.
Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's what the song was.
And Michael Stipe looks real old now.
Yeah,
really old.
He is old.
Yeah, but he looks old.
Yeah. Ryan, my pick of the pod, comic book. 3 Jokers.
Oh, you got it?
I got it. Got my hands on it. Finally.
Nice.
Finally.
How is it?
Quick read. Real quick read. It's only 3 issues. Written by Jeff Johns. Batman 3 Jokers. One of the best things I've read in a very long time.
I love that.
Absolutely loved it. Of course, this is right in my wheelhouse. One of the absolute main characters is Red Hood. And obviously Batman, you have Batgirl in this, you have these 3 Jokers, there's a little bit of a lore there. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Pick it up immediately. It's been out for a while. I was waiting for the collected edition and love it. Love it.
Perfect. Right. I'm going to read that. I'm on break now. I'm going to read it.
Oh yeah, you'll read it in literally 10 minutes, but it's great. Speaking of DC properties, Ryan, Wonder Woman 1984 comes out on Christmas, and so next week's episode, Wonder Woman 1984. Looking forward to that very much.
And happy holidays to all of you. This is our Dorksmas episode. What?
Merry Christmas to you.
Not the timestamp, but
Merry Christmas to everybody listening. We will have an episode before New Year's, but if you happen to not listen to that episode, Happy New Year's to everybody out there as well. 'Tis the season. Eat, drink, and be merry, right?
Fucking right.
That's what they say. You can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, #Dork. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @Dork Podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel where we stream these episodes live on Monday nights. Just go to youtube.com/Dork Podcast and subscribe away. Davey twitches occasionally. Twitch.
I'm back. So I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's break. It's winter break, man. We got time. There it is.
He'll rip it right there. So thanks for listening to this episode. We will be back next week. Everybody have a very happy holidays. We'll be talking Wonder Woman 1984 next week. Ryan, what do they say about wombats?
They got those L7 buttholes, baby. Squares.